if you want to improve your relationships, whether it's in a professional or a personal basis, everything starts with self. If you understand yourself better, you'll be able to interact better with someone else. Sometimes we act differently in a professional or a personal setting. So we are multifaceted and complex. However, what Phenometrix does is able to decode and identify the different patterns that make us who we are.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Rabasha Family Podcast. We are here for another very special episode on different parts of the world. I'm here in Nairobi, Kenya. Roman is there in Florence, Italy. And we're here for another powerful podcast. We wanted to give a powerful discussion, really where it's focused up to, even if it's a 30-minute conversations with you guys from anywhere in the world, just on what is really happening. And as I have my special guest, you have Roman Kikta, the CEO and founder, AI and venture innovator. He's an author, behavioral anthropologist of technology in his past, and the CEO and founder of Phenometrix. Being an entrepreneur, investor, and anthropologist, he's been on a mission to bridge the gap between human behavior and advanced AI. As the founder of Phenometrix, we will give you guys a live case study here in this. He leads a team developing revolutionary AI-driven technology that decodes the human operating system, personality, temperament, mindset, motivations by identifying and reading phenotypes, facial markers, language patterns, and behavioral cues to predict compatibility in teams' relationships. Guys, his goal is to always be in the make the right fit, not a guess, but a science, with over 30 years of such powerful experience. So what we want to do when it comes to talking about Phenometrix, it's not about all the talk that we can do, but what about action? How can we actually put this to the test and go through Phenometrix? So what we will do that in this episode, and Roman will go through a report of my image, and then Roman will be able to take us through it. And then we have some questions from some of our clients and our audience. So Roman, I just wanted to welcome you for this amazing masterclass before we get into it. How are you?
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on your program, Segura, and thank you for that introduction. So what Phenometrix does very simply is we decode the human operating system. And what I define as a human operating system is your personality, your temperament, your mindset, and the associated behavior. So it's really who you are, how you think, how you're going to act. And we decode all of that simply from your image, from your phenotype, which are the observable characteristic of the genome. It's everything about your facial features.
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast.
Why?
Because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Builds a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rabasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrabashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will. Yeah, fantastic. So I thought, Roman, we can take them through. Let's go through my report, right? Because, let's take them through. So exactly what you said here. So when we download a face code personality insights report, so basically they put your image. So I put my image, this headshot you guys can see here of myself in this nice suit. I put my image in here, and then it tells me all my key traits, and then we'll go through it. So it says prepared for Sujira. So how did you think of this? What does a face code personality insights report mean, Roman?
So face code personality insights, what we wanted to do is to create a report that helps you better understand yourself. So if you want to improve your relationships, whether it's in a professional or a personal basis, everything starts with self. If you understand yourself better, you'll be able to interact better with someone else. A lot of times, unfortunately, we have a self-perception that is different from how others perceive us, whether, it's our colleagues, friends, bosses, subordinates, what have you. They may have a different view of who we are. And we have a different view of who we are. And sometimes we act differently in a professional or a personal setting. So we are multifaceted and complex. However, what Phenometrix does is able to decode and identify the different patterns that make us who we are.
The different patterns. Wow. So as I share my screen, can we go through my report? I'll get your feedback from this as well. Okay, so first it shows key traits. And so and if anyone, guys, if you know who I am, a lot of you guys who listen to our podcast who have come across me, let's have a look at the key traits. It says who Sujiro Rubasha is. So it says, I am confident. I could say I am social, creative, self-motivated, outgoing, optimistic, natural communicator, generous, kind, and supportive. Sujiro embodies the archetype of the charismatic catalyst, a dynamic individual who combines creative thinking with social magnetism. His personality is characterized by a powerful blend of confidence, optimism, and genuine warmth towards others. He naturally draws people in through his expressive communication style and infectious enthusiasm. A lot of people have told me I do have infectious enthusiasm. While his creative mind generates innovative solutions, this archetype thrives in environments where connection, collaborations, and forward thinking are valued, making him an inspiring presence in both professional and personal spheres. So what is that whole thing that it's given me? So it's given me key traits, and this kind of, it gives me an archetype.
Sure.
Can you explain this?
Sure. So our technology, so your face is made up of different features, markers, as we would refer to them. And what we've done is we've correlated all of those markers to personality traits and their associated behaviors. Our system can detect up to approximately 167, 170 traits. In an image, we typically see between 50 and 65 unique traits that make you you. We identify those traits, and using generative AI, using our algorithms, we create a report that is uniquely yours based on the traits that we've decoded from you. So you may have overlapping traits with someone else. You've described as, confident, outgoing, social, optimistic, enthusiastic. As I've gotten to know you, on a couple of these calls, I would say that is spot on you. So we list your top traits that, are your primary characteristics. And what we've done is we've created a little summary report that describes your archetype, which is in essence describing who you are. If you go deeper into the report, in addition to the summary, now we will go into describing the meaning of your top 10 or so traits. It gives you a definition of those traits. What does it mean to be a confident individual? What does it mean to be enthusiastic or social? So we're explaining all of that. As you go through the report, we also cover, your strengths and your weaknesses. And, we talk about, your characteristics that are positive, and other characteristics that, requires someone to work on, to improve and to overcome.
Okay. This is so amazing, as you guys can see on the screen. So it says a personality overview. It says Sujiro's core, it gives you a personality overview. So Sujiro's core identity is that of a strategic visionary, a confident action individual who combines creative thinking with inspirational warmth. He is driven by ambition and a desire to make an impact. This was so crazy just reading it and seeing how, like, the self-motivated part, I was like, yes, I'm just like, anyway, very powerful. To make an impact, his professional and personal essence centers on bringing people together and shared goals. So it comes with a report with key traits, confident, creative. What's interesting was the real world example. What was the thinking behind here? So I'll quickly read it to you guys. It says, in a real world example, imagine Sujiro leading a team project with a tight deadline. His confidence energizes the group, while his creative thinking generates innovative solutions. He communicates the vision clearly, listens to team members' input, and adapts the approach as needed. His genuine care for colleagues' well-being ensures they feel supported in both strong outcomes and team cohesion. So what was the thinking behind giving real world examples, and how could I use this for me in my relationship or in my business perspective as an entrepreneur when you guys have provided this real world example?
So by giving a real life example, it's something that you can relate to, which is very important. One of the other things too that we do is we explain why of everything that we do. As you know, the why is the most important thing. Why should you do this? Well, you need to do this because, like in this case, you know, Segura is a very outgoing, confident person and so on, and you need to act accordingly with him. So by having a real life example, you know, it gives you insights that, you know, sometimes you don't have to imagine. We're just sort of telling you and helping you along with that understanding. At the end of the day, it's all about creating an understanding and the example. We also give you, in some instances, both a professional work-like, you know, explanation, as well as in your personal life, you know, for your personal things. So, you know, it's just understanding the context of the two.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The part of the growth opportunities, what was the thinking behind there, and how does now someone use these growth opportunities? And I think it's in the title. I like that, growth opportunities. You know, when we think of, you know, by Carol, you know, having a growth mindset, right? Like if someone wants to have a growth, if someone has a growth mindset, this report can help because you say, okay, I like what you've shown me, but what can I work on myself? So for example, it says me, I can patience with different processes. My mental quickness can lead to impatience with those who need more time to process information. This may cause me to interrupt or dismiss others' perspectives, potentially damaging relationships. And then practice active listening. So I feel that's good. Okay, I need to do that. I think this is so good. Like imagine being an employer and I have this about one of my employees and I could maybe know where their weaknesses are. I can notice if, you know, I can see these things. So it also helps me to manage my employee really well. Like, you know, like if I can know that these are their growth opportunities, I can look out for those things and seeing how I can even help them in those areas, you know?
Absolutely. So, you know, these growth opportunities are just giving insights for areas that we need to work on and to improve. Everything that we do here with these reports, it's about self-discovery, it's about self-awareness, and it's about growth. So we can grow as individuals and improve. And so here we just highlight a couple areas that, you know, you just need to work on.
Yeah. The perfectionism one I really like it's so true. I can be that. It says when generally optimistic, you may become defensive or attack when criticized. This can create tension. So this is so good because it's like, wow, if I know this about me now, when someone's maybe giving me feedback or appears to criticize me, let me just, you know, let me listen. So it gives me what I can work on. My triggers, this is so true, slow decision making or indecision. Your preference for quick action means you become frustrated when others hesitate or require. This impatience can lead to tension. So let me ask you one of the questions I asked you off air. Like, if I am a serial killer, I know that's maybe sounds weird to say, but if maybe I'm someone who could cause harm to society, a serial killer, or could be a terrorist, if I want to know how can I trust this person, because looking at your report, should I be looking at that person's triggers? Like how do I, if I use this report, I like in the mafia movies I used to watch, you know, your concierge. If I want someone to be when you're in Florence, Italy, so maybe it's great timing, so no pun intended, but like, you know, if I want someone to be my concierge and be my trusted advisor, how do I know I can trust this person? So if I put their report in Phenometrix AI, and usually all of it is quite positive, how do I know if I can trust this Sujira person that I'm seeing on their report? You know, or do I look at their red flags? Do I look at their triggers? What would you say to that question?
Well, you do. You know, you would use this to gain insights into individuals. here we've designed these reports really, this report here for Personality Insights is really a tool for creating self-awareness. It's about helping yourself understand who you are and how you can grow. So this is a very specific report. We tend to focus our report to be constructive. It's very easy to criticize someone. What we've decided here was we're going to talk about your positive strengths, and we're also going to tell you on areas that you need to work on because these are deficiencies. But we do it in a very constructive manner, a very respectful way. So to give you an example, if you had an individual that was a very dominant personality type, very aggressive, likes to get things done in their own way, and so on, what we would basically ask that person to do to grow would be to be more empathetic, be able to listen and give other people a chance to voice their feelings, their thoughts, their comments, so they could be heard. And, we would say, listen more than just talking. And so we would be constructive in that manner.
Interesting. Powerful. Let's put it in your situation, Roman. If you want to know, can I trust Sujira? What would you look for in this report to see if I am someone worth trusting? What's something specifically you would look for and notice if you're around? Of course, like now when someone comes around you, you notice certain things. So what would I look if let's put it in that situation. If it was you, what would you look for in this report to see if you can truly trust me? Or even just certain things that you can look at. So when you're around me, you can notice and observe, and then now use however you want to. So that's
Sure.
what I would ask.
So, yeah, it's a great question. So, people are very multifaceted, and sometimes we behave differently in a professional environment than in a personal environment. But what you would look for are, the level of conscientiousness in an individual. Are they very diligent? Are they perfectionists? And so on? Because individuals that have those types of characteristics like to carry things through, to see them to completion. And is, in essence, keeping your word that, hey, what I'm telling you I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do, if that makes sense. So, you would look at, the conscientiousness level of an individual. I also look at sociability because, a lot of times individuals, if they are social and they're telling the world they're going to do something, then a lot of times they will carry through and do it to completion because it would be a great embarrassment for them not to do it. Does that make sense?
You
In
said
other
if
words,
they're social.
humiliation if they didn't complete it. And so if they say, hey, I'm going to do this, perform this very specific task, and they're telling the world, as an example, if you have these influencers, then they want to come off being very trustworthy and keeping their word. Otherwise, they lose credibility and their followers will disappear.
Interesting. Okay. So as we scroll down, it shows motivations, right? What are people's, and then it gives you, definition of the motivations, like what it means, as you can see here. Primary drivers. So it says, power. You are driven by influence and the ability to lead others towards meaningful goals. You seek positions where you can make decisions, direct incomes, and leave a lasting impact. This motivation fuels your confidence and commanding presence in professional settings. So my question is, what made you come up with this part of the process in terms of the motivations? Another thing I will just quickly mention is someone who is, being an ambassador of Phenometrix and, us, sharing this with all of our clients and me doing so many reports myself of all these other people. One thing I noticed, I was like, oh, like I see how Phenometrix brings people together. And what I mean by that is certain people, like which I like to call in today your tribe. Like I would say me and you, we're in the same tribe because we have the same values, we get along. But what you'd notice is that a lot of people, like in this is life, in successful people, right? You see why are all these certain people successful is because successful people have certain traits that are all. So I know so many other people who are maybe clients, they have that perfectionism, and I say, oh, no wonder you're like this and I'm like this. No wonder we even get along because we have similar. So when I look at all these reports, I see so many similarities. So from other people's reports, even I saw someone who's a mother, like, I saw a mother, and then like the mother's report came out and then the daughter's report came out. Certain things in the mother's report were in the daughter's report. Well, that explains DNA. So that's why this Phenometrix was so accurate, because I'm like, okay, that explains she gets this from her mother. She gets this from the dad. This, like, that's really powerful. That's why I'm saying me just using so many reports with families and, things like this was really interesting. I said, oh, is this what maybe can also bring people together? Because you can see in people's reports, oh, this is why these people may get along. Maybe, that was very interesting. So that's what I just thought I'd add. And as you go on, maybe to comment on that, and then also on this motivations part.
Yeah, so motivations are really important insights into an individual. This is what drives us as human beings. And, a lot of people will tell you, hey, what drives people are economic gains, money. And that's not true. There's people that are driven by different things. And here, what we do is we identify what those drivers are. So, whether it's power, individualism, altruistic, hey, I want to save the world. I want to save the trees. I want to do things for cause. I'm an ideologist. These things become, very important to have that understanding. Just like you have people that are driven by power, by individualism, for control, ego, and so on. So being able to identify what drives an individual gives tremendous insights, because now I know what motivates you to do something. Are you doing this for money? Are you doing this for recognition? Are you doing this for a greater cause? And motivations gives us tremendous insights into an individual.
I totally agree, and that can't be more big. Like, I'm just thinking this, like being an entrepreneur, like as an employer, and I'm hiring someone. Exactly what you said, their primary drivers. I really like what it says about the individualistic. I'm so like that. But anyway, it says an example here, and it says, when considering a career move, Sujiro would be drawn to a leadership role in an innovative company where he can influence strategy and mentor emerging talent. He'd prioritize an environment that values creative thinking and allows him to make a meaningful difference in lives, even if the salary is slightly lower than a profit-focused position. So imagine an employer seeing that and saying, okay, I really need this role in my company. If I could provide this to this, because that's the hardest thing people struggle with, is finding good people, finding people, like you said, that can commit to their word. So if I really need this role, and this role is going to add, $1 million revenue on our bottom line, and for me to, as a leader, to get this Sujiro person to perform at their highest abilities so I can make that $1 million and we can serve more people, I got to make sure that I'm putting him in an environment where, these examples here. So even if I offer him 80 grand a year, 90 grand a year, 100 grand a year, whatever, he's not so much, like that is like amount of money this saves people and this can generate for people is astonishing. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. You've touched on something that's very, very important. So imagine you're an individual that you're doing things because you want to be recognized for your contributions to the company. And you want those accolades. You want that promotion. You're doing things, not necessarily for the money, but you're looking for that recognition. And the worst thing someone can do is to withhold that recognition from you. And this is where an individual, regardless of how much money they're making, they're going to be dissatisfied with that position because they didn't get the accolades and recognition that they so much worked hard for. And, by understanding the motivational drivers of an individual, an employer now, a manager, CEO is now able to really understand the primary drivers and act accordingly and reward that individual accordingly.
Yeah, very, very powerful. As we, I think that's quite powerful. And, to kind of see that report, and, people will be able to, the link in the description, be able to go in and get Phenometrix for your company and things like that. Let's, the last few questions for the audience in this kind of live demonstration. When it comes to love now, right? I'm finding love. We work with also matchmakers. We're working with Mirabella Matchmaking, one of the matchmakers who have put matchmaking on the map in Australia that we work with here at ETS Rabasha Media. So we've been having amazing discussions around this and the whole, topic of matchmaking. I was talking with Maria, the CEO of Mirabella, and we were talking about how time is so valuable. How, like I would rather, I could go and spend $145,000 with a matchmaker because I cannot afford to waste my time to find someone. Like, time is the most valuable asset that we have, and I would rather give $200,000 to someone just to go save me time, right? Because, so when we talk about love, how does this report help with finding love?
It's a great question. So the most important thing that we have in life, and the most precious right now, is time. We can lose money, we can gain money back, but we cannot gain time back. It's fleeting, and once it's gone, it's gone. So the last thing we want to do is to waste our time pursuing an opportunity or an individual, a relationship that is at the end is not going to lead to an outcome that we would want. And in this case, we're looking, for instance, for a suitable life partner. So what we're able to do is be able to show you the compatibility between two individuals in a romantic environment. And we're able to tell you the strengths and weaknesses of that relationship. We're able to give you a compatibility score. And, we're not judging whether this is going to be a great relationship or a bad relationship. What we're doing is we're disclosing factual patterns that our AI uncovers. And we're saying that, hey, in this situation, you have, let's say, two dominant, very strong-minded personality types. And you know what? This could be the ultimate power couple, but for a long-term sustainable relationship, it's going to be problematic. And the reason why it's going to be problematic is that you can't have two CEOs running, a household or life. And what happens here is, we're providing you with the tools that basically uncovers that and says, if you want this relationship to work and you want it to be sustainable and you want it to flourish, then it's going to have to be grounded in mutual respect. You're going to have to establish boundaries, and you're going to have to work on effective communications that will make this relationship thrive. You can't be the two bosses of one another and try to dominate one another, because that's not going to work out. So what we've done is we've created the tools that gives you insights onto self, so you could have that meaningful connection with someone else. And, we were able to do this simply by decoding your phenotypes, your face. And this is, as you know, you ran your report. It takes 120 seconds, 2 minutes to decode yourself and get this dossier on yourself and your partner, so you can have a meaningful relationship, a meaningful connection.
Yeah, very, very, very powerful. And like I said, I've used it myself. Probably have to keep, I'm with my fiance. I've been in the long distance for a while now. So like, this is the time, like, finally being able to, the life that we live, to be able to work remotely. And being able to improve my business and the work that I can come here and stay in Nairobi, be here for 3, so now I'm actually with my fiance more and more than just being in a long distance. Now we're, living together. It's the first time we've experienced this. So, now I may have to continue to just, go back on the report sometimes when she's maybe annoying me and be like, okay, what did her report say again? Oh yeah, okay, cool, boom. Because it worked the first time. The first time I used guys, like I won't, I don't know. I thought it was cheating, guys. I thought like, wow, I have a whole report of my fiance. I feel like I'm cheating because, women are like a whole different, like the way they think is completely different. Like, but like now the report actually makes it easier. We're like, before I wouldn't have seen that, but now with this report, I'm like, oh, okay. So I may even have to keep using them more, but that's just like what's so intriguing about it is how, like, even imagine I don't have children yet. Now imagine if I have kids, I put their reports in, like that's a whole different thing that's not in my world yet. But imagine now I could use this for my children.
Yeah. So, our reports, for dating become extremely valuable. So we'll tell you the strengths and weaknesses of that relationship. We'll give you a compatibility score. We'll tell you what you need to do. But most importantly, what we want to do is we want you to be successful in your relationships. And that's why I started this company. To basically heal fractured relationships. In the United States right now, some 45% of first-time marriages end up in divorce. And, in other countries, like in Northern Europe and so on, that number is, well north of 50%. So, relationships, as valuable as we want them to be, don't always work out. And, I've created Phenometrix here and our face code reports to basically improve human relationships. So our dating reports will tell you, not only the strengths and weaknesses of the relationships and how to resolve them, but we'll tell you what the ideal date would be based on personality. So, if you're dealing with someone that is more introverted, quiet, introspective, intellectually curious, we would say, hey, go to an art gallery, go to a museum, have quiet conversations, go to a quiet, cafe afterwards. Don't go to some noisy pub, because that would be the wrong place to go. So we give you, in essence, a playbook on how you should act, how you should behave, how you should dress, where you should go, and so on. And it's very valuable insights. And again, to improve that human interaction.
Yeah. Very, very powerful. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I think this was an amazing, episode. Something we'll continue to give the people, and you guys will be able to listen to this on Spotify. If you want to listen to the audio only version, then the video will come out later, but the audio version will come first. So you can have a listen to this conversation and, use it to, change lives. Like, that's how I see this. That's why I'm also, being an ambassador to be able to help Phenometrix become as big as it's going to become, and for us to be a part of history on our side and speaking with Roman. So I'll see you soon. Just before we leave, how is Florence, Italy? What's the report on that side?
Well, I have to tell you, Italy is just a fabulous place, wonderful food, great Italian food, great wine. The people are friendly, and we're getting into summer here shortly, so the weather is just absolutely delightful.
Fabulous. Anyway, Roman, thank you. We'll have more people who will be joining our show, executive searchers, matchmakers. They'll be joining these podcasts that me and Roman will be doing. So we can't wait to just extend this conversation, with other experts in the field and, see how this report helps them in different industries and for all of us to continue leading the mission and the vision we all have for our lives.
Thank you.
No worries at all. Bye. Hey, what's wrong? Bro, I'm stressed out. I'm running my business. I've got to serve my customers, but I need more customers coming in. I can't keep relying on word of mouth. Why don't you just use ETS Rabasha Media? Who? Well, with AI now, what they do is they go in, get your perfect clients, bring them in front of you. So all I got to do is run my business and he brings me opportunities. Think about it. You speak to 3,000 of your ideal customers, convert 1% of that 3,000. That's 30 people. 30 people in a room with you. Can you convert that? Of course I'll close them. I'm good at what I do. I just don't have time to be going and looking for my perfect client. Focus on what you love doing and let them bring you customers. When you win, they win, commission, ching. Sujiro Rubasha, huh? Yeah, Sujiro Rubasha. Go and Google them, man. Come on, take it to the bank.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.